That 70s show star Danny Masterson is now at a state prison months after he was convicted of.
Here is the tale of 25 Hollywood actors whose lives took a dark turn, leading them from the glitz and glamour of Hollywood to the cold, unforgiving confines of their prison cells. These once iconic stars now find themselves trapped in a grim reality, one where their own actions have cast them as the antagonists in their tragic stories. As we look into their broken illusions and shattered dreams, we will witness the haunting transformation of these big screen heroes into real-life villains, forever marked by their heinous crimes. Join us on this venture through the depths of their destroyed lives, where the reflection of their past triumphs clash with the harsh realities of their present life behind prison walls. Number 25. Danny Masterson. You probably know this man here as Stephen Hyde in the movie series That 70s Show. Well, his real name, Danny Masterson. He got into the entertainment industry as early as the age of 4, starring in commercials and performing on stages. But by the time he became a teenager, he lost his singing voice. Despite appearing in over 100 commercials, his career did not find footing until he got starred in That 70s Show, where he appeared in all 8 seasons. Masterson was doing great in his career until 2017, when 3 women filed sexual assault cases against him. He denied his involvement in the case. Some months after the initial allegations came out, a 4th victim stepped forward, and that was when Netflix decided to take him off their show, Ranch. Masterson claimed to be disappointed in Netflix's decision, and musician Cedric Bixler-Zavala revealed that the actor also assaulted his wife. In 2019, 4 women, including Cedric's wife, filed civil lawsuits against Masterson and Scientology Church, where they all attended with the actor. They claimed that the church was stalking and harassing them, leading to the death of some of their pets. Masterson and his wife Bijou Phillips mocked the lawsuits and threatened to sue everyone who was trying to spoil their reputation. But all their threats came to nothing, because in 2023, Daniel Masterson was found guilty of rape and was sentenced to 30 years to life imprisonment. He attempted to evade accountability through his connection with Scientology, but he was stopped in his tracks and thrown behind bars for his horrible crimes. If a piece of your childhood was ruined because of what Daniel Masterson did, wait till you find out about the next celebrity who was beloved but did a very horrible act. 24. Ryan Grantham. This child star you are looking at is Ryan Grantham, who is now spending his entire life behind bars because of impulsive thoughts. Ryan Grantham first became popular after his role in the 2010 adaptation of Diary of a Wimpy Kid. He then went on to star in Riverdale, where his performance captivated the audience, but his innocent demeanor on screen did not seem to translate into his real life. On March 31, 2020, Ryan Grantham shot his mother's head while she was playing the piano in their home in Columbia, Canada. They didn't have any altercation prior to the incident. When he was arrested, he revealed that his plan was to kill the Prime Minister of Canada, Justin Trudeau, and killing his home was a small part of the grand scheme. After admitting to second-degree murder, he was sentenced to life imprisonment with the possibility of parole after 14 years. He has also been banned from handling firearms. Just like how Grantham went from being at the peak of his career to jail, that is the same thing that happened with this next celebrity. 23. Timothy Zickuhr. This is Darren Timothy Zickuhr, a former reality TV star on the show Ice Road Truckers. He was arrested in 2013 after kidnapping a prostitute nicknamed Snow White. Zickuhr had patronized Snow White and given her his card to make payments, but he suddenly called her days later to accuse her of theft and overcharging him. He then called her to meet up so they could resolve the issue, and she showed up. He tied her hands with a backpack strap, dumped cold water on her head, and locked her in a closet. Zickuhr then asked Snow White to call somebody who could bring the sum of $1,000 to him. She gave him a number, but little did Zickuhr know that he was calling the police on himself. The phone number she gave him belonged to a Vegas police officer who agreed to meet up with Zickuhr and give him the money. When the trucker arrived there, he was arrested. While he was out on bail pending his sentence, his DNA was linked to the robbery of an 80-year-old woman. He was sentenced to 5 to 15 years imprisonment for kidnap and extortion. The next celebrity was beloved in her industry, but after a drunken accident, her life has never been the same again. 22. Amy Locane. If you are a 90s kids, you probably know this woman on the screen as Matt Damon and Brendan Fraser's love interest in School Ties. But if you don't, she is Amy Locane, a phenomenal actress and entertainer. But all it took for her career to end was one mistake that she may never recover from. Amy Locane's life changed on June 27, 2010, when she was driving in Montgomery, New Jersey. She was drunk and going at a speed of 86 miles per hour on a 56 miles per hour zone. Her car rammed into Fred Seaman's car, who was going at 3 miles per hour. The crash killed Seaman's 60-year-old wife. Amy Locane was arrested, and after her trial, she was sentenced to 3 years imprisonment. After she was released for jail, she lived life as a model citizen, despite her divorce from her husband and losing custody of her 2 daughters. But in 2020, an appeals court decided that the sentence she served was too lenient for her crime, so she was resentenced to 8 years for the same crime. Amy Locane tried to appeal her case, considering she had already served 3 years for it before, but she lost it and remains incarcerated with possibility of parole only after serving 6 years of her 8-year sentence. And while it may seem like her punishment is unfair, it is definitely not the case for this movie producer who took advantage of the people that looked up to him. 21. Harvey Weinstein. If you don't know who we are talking about already, it is Harvey Weinstein. But how did he go from being Hollywood's most respected producer to spending his life behind bars? Harvey Weinstein started making his mark in Hollywood since as far back as the 60s. He won multiple awards for his movies, like Shakespeare in Love. But the same way he was making his mark in the industry was how he was leaving a trail of trauma as he progressed. Everything seemed to be going fine for him until 2017, when at least 80 women stepped forward to accuse him of sexual harassment and rape. He was dropped from the production house he ran with his brother. The accusations against Weinstein led to the start of the hashtag #MeToo movement, where women who had suffered abuse at the hands of influential men spoke up. It was such a pivotal moment in modern-day internet culture that the phenomenon was called the Weinstein effect. After almost 2 years of the case going back and forth in court, Harvey Weinstein was found guilty and sentenced to 23 years in prison. While serving his sentence, he was again accused of sexual harassment and sentenced to another 16 years. He is currently 72 years old, so it is safe to say that he is going to be spending the rest of his life behind bars. But his story is nothing like that of the next music producer and record label boss who went from rags to riches and back to rags because of terrible decisions. 20. Suge Knight. This man you see here is Suge Knight, one of the most feared men in the hip-hop industry. Or at least, that was a title he held for a long time. Suge Knight came into the music industry after failing to be undrafted in the NFL. He worked as a concert promoter in the 80s before deciding to launch his publishing company. He started a record label called Death Row Records, and he signed some of the greats, like Tupac and Snoop Dogg. But after the death of Tupac, things went south for the label, and to put it in a few words, Suge became miserable. After getting into an altercation with his friend, Terry Carter, in 2015, Suge Knight did the unthinkable. He ran his car over Terry Carter and fled the scene. He was arrested and in 2018 was sentenced to 28 years in prison. He won't be eligible for parole until 2034. 19. Joe Sun. This is the face of Joe Sun, a former actor who managed to get out of a life sentence but dove right back into a long jail sentence. So, Joe Sun is an American-Korean mixed martial arts fighter and actor. You probably know him as the villain in the 1994 film Bad Blood. But it appears that he wasn't just acting in that film because his reality seemed to be worse than what he portrayed in the film. After kicking in the door of his roommate's car in 2008, Joe Sun was arrested and asked to drop a DNA sample upon his release. His DNA was linked to a cold case from 1990. On the Christmas Eve of 1990, Joe Sun and his friend kidnapped a woman, tortured, raped, and sodomized her. They then kicked her out of their car naked. The DNA sample taken from her matched the one submitted by Sun. He and his accomplice were arrested. His accomplice took the plea deal and was sentenced to 17 years, while Sun was sentenced to 7 years since the statute of limitations for the case had expired at the time of his trial. Joe Sun could have served his time quietly and come out, but he instead killed his prison cellmate. This voluntary manslaughter landed him an extra 27 years in jail. This next celebrity was also charged with manslaughter as he killed somebody very close to him. 18. Michael Jace. This is the face of a man with a promising career who let it all go down the drain, all because he couldn't handle his feelings like an adult. So, this is Michael Jace. He has been on the screen as the leader of the Black Panthers in Forrest Gump, or as Michael Jordan in the Fox Family Channel movie Michael Jordan. His most recent role before the unfortunate incident was as Officer Julian Lowe in The Shield. But while he was fighting for justice on our screens, he was doing the exact opposite in his home. Around 2014, his wife, April Jace, filed for divorce from him. Not only did he not like that, he convinced himself that she was having an affair. So, in a fit of rage, he shot in the back of the leg and twice in her legs as he said, "If you like running, then run to heaven." He did all this in front of their little kids. Michael Jace was arrested and sentenced to 40 years in prison. He didn't just traumatize his kids, he left them without parents. Michael Jace is a perfect example of why you need to make the right decisions, just like the next celebrity who attempted to use her fame for something unwise. 17. Jen Shah. If you are a fan of the Real Housewives franchise, then you probably know Jen Shah. But if you don't, this woman you see on the screen went from reality TV star to criminal in months. Jen Shah gained public recognition when she became a cast on The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. We gained insight into her life and, over time, into her crimes. She was arrested in March 2021, for conspiracy to commit wire fraud and money laundering through a telemarketing scheme. Shah targeted the elderly and vulnerable individuals in the guise of providing business development tools like website building and coaching. Although she denied the charges, she was sentenced to 6.5 years in prison. Her sentence was eventually reduced to 3 years, and she is expected to be out by 2026. It seems like the MO for reality TV stars is to commit wire fraud, because the next celebrity is also a reality star that committed wire fraud of over $20 million. 16. Julie and Todd Chrisley. Their marriage didn't stop at not being perfect. They went on to pull a Bonnie and Clyde on their fans. This couple you are looking at are Julie and Todd Chrisley, who are best for their reality TV show, Chrisley Knows Best. They were first arrested in 2019 for 12 counts of wire fraud after evading state taxes of $2 million. The prosecutors also alleged that they used their production company to hide $1 million from the IRS by asking their staff to falsify figures. The law eventually caught up with them. Todd was sentenced to 12 years in prison, with 16 months probation, and Julie was sentenced to 6 years in prison with 16 months probation. They had a successful career, but chose to throw it all away because they didn't want to pay tax. Remember, file your taxes today. With these stories, it seems like it is hard to be a celebrity and be crime-free, because the next one is an athlete of sorts who ruined his life with assault. 15. Jerry Harris. Jerry Harris gained popularity after appearing in the Netflix docuseries Cheer. He had a rough childhood after his mother died from lung cancer, but he didn't consider that when he decided to ruin other people's childhoods. In September 2020, he was arrested by the FBI and charged with the production of child pornography. He was also charged with traveling to engage in sexual activities with a minor. While people were trying to figure themselves out during the lockdown, Harris was on the road looking for the next child to abuse. He was sentenced to 12 years in prison and 8 years of court-supervised probation. It now seems like depravity is the requirement to be a star, because the next celebrity was sentenced to over 10 years for sex-related crimes. 14. Darren Sharper. Darren Sharper was an NFL star who had taken his career to the point of playing at the Super Bowl. But he ruined it all because he couldn't take no for an answer. Sharper was arrested in 2014 after 16 women from Louisiana, California, Arizona, and Nevada accused him of rape. They alleged that he drugged them before carrying out the act. After investigations, he was found guilty and was sentenced to 20 years in prison. He is expected to be out by 2034. The next celebrity you are about to see attempted to assassinate a president and pin it on someone else, but she was caught before she could go any further. 13. Shannon Richardson. There are some people who are delusional enough to attempt to kill a president in modern times. But for the Walking Dead actress, Shannon Richardson, she did carry out her plan. The only problem was that it failed. In 2013, Richardson's husband filed a divorce. Unwilling to handle the rejection, she called the police and reported that her husband was sending rice-and-lace letters to Barack Obama, who was president at the time. Her husband denied being involved in the case, and through special investigations, the FBI found out that Richardson was the one who had mailed 3 rice-and-laced letters. She was sentenced to 18 years in jail, $367,000 in restitution, and a $100 assessment fee for psychological tests. She was also required to undergo psych treatment during her time in jail since she tried to frame her husband for leaving her. It was the same case with the next celebrity, only that he didn't go for the president. He went for his ex-lover. But before we get to that, let's look at our phenomenon pick. As we have seen throughout this video, celebrities go to jail majorly because they abuse their power and access in society. This man you see attempted to spread deepfake intimate videos of his ex-lover and her child. He was arrested and sentenced to life behind bars. So when next you want to make deepfake videos, think if it's really worth it. Now let's get back to the video. 12. War Machine. War Machine was a mixed martial artist who started dating adult star Christy Mack in 2013. She broke up with him because he was physically and emotionally abusive. Christy moved on and got with someone else in 2014, but it seemed like she couldn't avoid War Machine. He broke into her house and beat her boyfriend for 10 minutes before making him promise not to report to the authorities. Then he attacked Christy Mack, forcing himself on her, stabbing and beating her for a course of 2 hours. She escaped by jumping off the balcony when he turned his back and running to her neighbor, who called 911. War Machine was found a week after the incident, after he attempted to garner pity from the internet. He was sentenced to life imprisonment. His crimes were just as bad as the next celebrity who would be homeless when he's done with his jail sentence. 11. Kris Wu. Although this person looks like the perfect boy group member, he is actually one of the worst. This is Kris Wu, a Chinese-Canadian rapper who was arrested for suspicions of rape. In 2021, a 19-year-old college student revealed on social media that Wu had forced himself on her when she was drunk. She was only 18 when the incident happened. She went on to claim that it was his habit to do that to women when they were drunk or unconscious. The victim was standing up for 7 other women, 2 of whom were minors when Wu assaulted them. Kris Wu lost all his sponsorship deals and was arrested by the Chinese government. He was sentenced to 13 years imprisonment and deportation from China after his release. The next incarcerated celebrity committed the same crimes as Wu, but against his own flesh and blood. 10. William Hayden. William Hayden was a reality star, known for his series Sons of Guns on Discovery Channel. The show was cancelled after he was accused of forcing himself on a 12-year-old girl. When the accusation came out, he claimed that the mother of the child was just trying to ruin him since she was his ex. But after the victim's testimony, he was convicted. After the accusation came to light, his daughter stepped forward and revealed that he also raped her when she was 12 years old. Based on the 2 accusations against him, he was sentenced to 3 different life sentences. The next celebrity got not just a life sentence, but also a death penalty for her crimes. 9. Skyler Deleon. Before transitioning to a woman, Skyler Deleon appeared in TV shows like The Power Rangers and gained prominence for his acting. But she quit acting and decided to join the Navy. She couldn't follow the rules there and was fired. Unable to take care of her wife and kids, Deleon decided to get into crime. She found a couple that wanted to sell their yacht and went to check it out with her wife and another accomplice. They threatened the owners to give them the yacht and then tied them up and threw them in the sea. Their bodies were never found, but Skyler Deleon and her accomplices were. Skyler Deleon was sentenced to death penalty, but it was banned in California before they could get to it. So she's going to live the rest of her life on death row with no possibility of parole. And now, we are back to the forced sex cases with the next celebrity. 8. Kaalan Walker. Kaalan Walker became popular after starring alongside Halle Berry in the 2017 adaptation of Superfly. But instead of using his popularity for something productive, he chose to use it to lure women and forcibly have sex with them. He lured 4 Instagram models to his house under the guise of giving them and had non-consensual sex with them. Walker's crimes came to light around 2022, and he was sentenced to 50 years imprisonment. 7. Zachary Horwitz. You probably know this man as Zach Avery, as that is his stage name. He did not have a very big career in Hollywood because the time he could have used to better his craft, he spent it scamming people. He came up with a fake production company and claimed to have gotten exclusive deals from HBO, Netflix, and other streaming platforms. He also lied that he had bought rights to top documentaries and movies, convincing investors to give him over $600 million. Avery scammed his investors of $220 million before he was arrested. He was found guilty of fraud and sentenced to 23 years in prison. Just like Avery, the next celebrity misused his fame. 6. Mel Hall. Mel Hall was a baseball player who used his influence to infiltrate families. His first victim was a 15-year-old girl who he met at a game. He teased her throughout his game until she was bold enough to approach him. Hall then became friends with her family, claiming he was lonely with his team. From there, he paid for her mum to stop work and started dating the minor with her parents' consent. He moved into their house and started sleeping with his young girlfriend in her parents' bedroom. She broke up with him when she turned 19, and he went on to become a coach for a girls' team. He did the same to the girls and abused them. His victims finally came forward, and he was sentenced to 45 years in jail. Mel Hall is just like the next celebrity who abused his family members. 5. Josh Duggar. Josh Duggar became popular through his family reality show, 19 and Counting on TLC. He was a teenager at the time, but he was already abusing his sisters in his big family of 19 children. His parents never reported the crime and instead asked their church leaders and a pedophilic state trooper to give him a stern talk. But it obviously didn't work, because when Duggar was eventually reported and arrested, child sexual abuse images were found on his computer. An investigator said it was part of the top 5 worst ones he had ever seen in his life. Josh Duggar was sentenced to 12 years and 7 months in jail for his crimes. 4. Jared Fogle. This is Jared Fogle. Don't let his smile deceive you. His crimes are as huge as the smile. So Jared Fogle became popular in 1999 for losing over 200 pounds because he ate only Subway small subs. He even went on to become a spokesperson for Subway and appeared in over 300 commercials within the course of 5 years. But he was arrested by the FBI in 2015 for buying sexual abuse images and videos of minors. It was also discovered that he had sex with underage sex workers and offered to pay adult sex workers if they could recruit minors for him. Fogle was supposed to serve 50 years, but he took a plea deal and was given a sentence of 15 years and 7 months. He committed the same crime as the next celebrity, only difference being he wasn't deported. 3. Gary Glitter. Gary Glitter was a rock star who was popular and respected in the 80s. but he was soon exposed for his true nature. In 1997, he took his laptop for repairs, and that was when the repairer found child pornography. He was arrested and jailed for 4 months before being deported to the UK. Glitter attempted to start afresh in Vietnam, but was again arrested for abusing 2 girls aged 11 and 12. He was deported to the UK after serving his 3-year sentence. While in the UK, more info came out that Gary Glitter had raped 2 teenage girls in the 70s. It led to an investigation that uncovered his heinous acts against 3 girls aged 12, 11, and less than 10. The disgraced singer was sentenced to 16 years in jail. After serving half of the sentence, he was let out on parole, but he was arrested again for trying to access the dark web to buy child porn. He is now going to spend the remaining 8 years in jail with no possibility of parole. His sentence is short in comparison to the next star, who is likely never going to see the light of day again. 2. R. Kelly. We're talking about R. Kelly. R. Kelly was, and still is, a popular R&B singer, with singles like I Believe I Can Fly. But his entire life was filled with dark stories. He managed to escape accountability for his crimes after marrying a 15-year-old in 1994. He faked her age on the certificate and made her parents sign an NDA when they found out and annulled the marriage. R. Kelly then went on to keep abusing minors and even creating some sort of cult where he held women against their will. All these came out in 2019, and the police started investigation. He was eventually found guilty of multi-level charges of rape and kidnapping and sentenced to 31 years in jail. 1. P. Diddy. And finally, what would this video be without mentioning P. Diddy? Diddy was a rap mogul and record producer with an empire worth billions, but all that came crashing down when he was accused of sexual assault by over 100 victims, including men, women, and children. His abuse was so bad that the victims would be placed on IV drips afterwards. He was arrested in 2023, and while he hasn't been convicted yet, he may be facing a life sentence. We have come to the end of this video. Which of these celebrities do you think should have gotten stricter punishments? Let us know in the comments. Ensure you like and subscribe to the channel for more like this.